Hi, Monarchs. Dr. Barry Gribbins, president of Los Angeles Valley College, joining you today for another town hall. I have a few updates for you. At any time, please go ahead and type questions that you might have into the chat. And after I share with you some updates, I'll turn to your questions. The first update I have, of course, welcome back to college. Welcome to your first day of classes for those of you who are new. Today is the very first day of the fall semester. All week we'll have Welcome Week, which will start with some activities tomorrow and go through Thursday. Especially look for some activities in the Student Center, the Student Services Plaza throughout this week. Another update I have for you relates to a voting drop box that's in Lot G. So for the election, the recall election that's happening over the next couple of weeks, you'll be able to drop off ballots in Lot G. We also have some additional information, just reminders for the $1,000 grants that we have from federal IRF money. We need to ensure that students have their financial aid paperwork in to be eligible for it. So if you haven't submitted your FAFSA or California Promise Fee Waiver application, please do so within the next couple of days. This will help ensure that you're eligible for any support that will be dispersed in about 2.5 weeks. Again, to ensure that you receive any support that you're eligible for, please get your FAFSA or your California Promise Fee Waiver application in within the next couple of days. We do plan on making the disbursements in about 2.5 weeks for that $1,000 support. If you have any questions, please contact our financial aid folks, and they'll be glad to help you in any way they can. You might also have some additional financial aid disbursements. You can check with your the SIS system, your account in SIS, the Student Information System, to get more detailed information about your financial aid awards, and again, including disbursements and disbursement amounts and dates. If you do have questions, though, please do contact the financial aid department. This is the first day of classes, as I mentioned. For all of the folks coming into the college, please remember to complete the symptom self-check, as well as wear a mask indoors. You can get the symptom self-check by going to our homepage, lavc.edu, and there'll be some information about the symptom check as well as general information about COVID. The symptom self-check, there'll be, like I said, details about it, but you will download the LAVC Safe app from any location where you get apps. And it'll walk you through the simple symptom checks. It's just a couple of questions, shouldn't take you more than a minute or two. But we do ask you to complete that every day before coming to campus, as well as to wear your mask indoors. The board is considering a change to the vaccination requirements for all employees and students coming onto campus. More information will be coming out about that in the next couple of weeks. If you haven't been vaccinated yet, please do take this time to go out and get vaccinated. Even if the board does implement some changes that require vaccination, the students will have some time to come into compliance with that. So you'll have a few weeks, but you will need to start the vaccination process right away, and it'll help protect you against COVID. So if you haven't started with the vaccination process, please do so. There will likely be exemptions for those who cannot be vaccinated because of medical reasons or religious purposes. But like I said, more details will be coming out about that shortly. We do have vaccination and testing that will be available on campus every week. For more information about the location and the date of the vaccination pop-ups and testing, go to our homepage, lavc.edu, and there'll be some additional information right there on the homepage for you. There's also some information on the homepage about the $1,000 federal support. So if you need any details about how do you complete the FAFSA or the college promise fee waiver, there's details about that right there on the homepage. The last two updates I have for you, if you do have a need for emergency grants or support for technology for having a device, there is some more information about that on our homepage as well. Just go to LAVC COVID information from the homepage, again, lavc.edu, and scroll down and you'll be able to get a lot of different information about different resources that are available to all students. The last update I have for you is that we will be mailing out to every student and employee an LAVC face mask, so a reusable face mask over the next 2 weeks. Look for that in the mail. With that, let me turn to see what questions that we might have in the chat. A question from George, are we going back to campus? Please say yes. And George, the answer is yes, the campus is open. It's certainly welcome back. We have hundreds of classes that are starting today in person. We, of course, also have some online classes available for those who prefer to take classes online. Lots of different options, either in person or online, but the campus is reopened and we have classes starting today. A question from Deborah about the CAP. Deborah, the classes are reduced capacity. All of the classes we have at reduced capacity, but there are additional sections that have openings. So if you're still looking for a class to pick up, please go online to the schedule and check out to see what classes that are currently available. There are classes that you can still add. Today, of course, you'll want to add the classes as soon as possible. Seats will be going quickly and you don't want to get behind in your classes. Let me check for some additional questions. Ken, a question about attending clubs. If all classes are completely online, absolutely you can attend clubs, even if you're taking classes completely online. You're entirely welcome to come onto campus for any of the services and to participate in the clubs. Question from Yolanda about changing your major. You can get additional information about how to change your major online, but of course, don't hesitate to contact our counseling department for those details as well. Most of the changes you can make on the student information system portal. So if you navigate to that and look for the different tiles, you should be able to find what you need. But like I said, feel free to contact our counseling department for some additional help as well. A question from Susan about the last day to drop a class without a W. And all the important dates, including when's the last day to drop a class without a W, are on our lavc.edu homepage as under the different dates, the important dates. You should also see it on the student portal under student information system. You see what additional questions that are in the chat. Oscar, in terms of qualifying for tablets and other programs, if you complete the emergency grant application, those do get evaluated by staff and they could determine if there's a related COVID reason for it, and then they'll be awarded. We do try to help as many students as possible, so we're doing everything we can to provide the support to students, all of you students that you need. Question from Alex on parking passes. Students do not need a parking pass for the fall semester. We haven't made a decision about the spring semester yet, but for the fall semester, parking passes are not required. Of course, remember to park in a student space. A question about the dates and times that classes meet. Many of our classes meet asynchronously, so they're not at a set date and time, but students can access information at any time. Some classes are scheduled synchronously with specific dates and times. Most of that information is in the schedule of classes as to which dates and times the class meets, if it is synchronous. If you have any questions, though, please contact your instructor and they'll be able to provide you some details about your individual class section. Question from Jeff on financial aid eligibility with regards to stimulus. So anyone that's eligible for the fee waiver, either through FAFSA or the College Promise fee waiver application, will be eligible for the $1,000 support from the federal government. Again, there's not a separate application process or separate criteria for all students who are eligible for the fee waiver, either through FAFSA or the College Promise fee waiver. They'll be eligible for the $1,000, and we'll do our best to get that out in the next 2.5 weeks. Let me see for some additional questions. A reminder also, if you need help with your classes, checking to make sure that you're in your class is okay. The Welcome Center is open to answer any questions that you might have, as well as admissions. You can contact either one online and by phone, and they're also here on campus, so you're able to come in and receive some in-person services. Let me see if I can find some more questions. A question about online only classes becoming scarce. Being the first day of classes, many classes are starting to fill up, so it is important that students register as soon as possible. For future semesters, it's always helpful to register early in the process as soon as you're eligible to register. But there are still hundreds of classes that have seats available even today. Of course, you won't want to hesitate to register for classes. You'll want to do that today. We'll also have some additional classes that will be starting in October for classes that filled up early in the process. So we'll do our best to add additional late start classes in October. We already have plans to add over 100 classes in October. But again, if there is availability in classes that you need now, I would encourage you to register for classes right away. Let me look for some additional questions. A question about will you get a tablet and a laptop or just one? The two devices that we still have some of are Chromebooks and Surface Go devices. We'll make the devices available to students as best we can. And if we run out, then we'll be able to provide some financial support to students to help meet their technology needs. A question from Deborah: if you haven't gotten your vaccine but are in the process of getting it, can you still take live classes or in-person classes? Absolutely. The new board policy that was passed earlier in August required vaccine or testing, but it's not enforced the first day of classes. We're still giving students a few weeks to complete their vaccination process or to start pursuing weekly testing. The board is considering this week some changes to the board policy, so it could change requiring vaccination or allowing some instances of exemptions. Still, even in that case, students will have some time to become fully vaccinated. So if you've started the process of getting vaccinated, you'll have plenty of time to complete it. Make sure you get your second dose if it's the 2-dose sequence of either Pfizer or Moderna when you're eligible after 3 weeks. but you will have plenty of time to get fully vaccinated before that new requirement is fully enforced. And let me see if there's some additional questions. A question from Mary about Dean's Honors. And for questions about Dean's Honors, you can contact the admissions department. A question from Stephanie about applying for graduation. A good time. It's always a good time to connect with a counselor and to make sure all your graduation petition paperwork are in order. Go ahead and submit that as soon as you can if you are finishing up for the fall semester. Of course, right now counselors are pretty backed up with folks wanting to find out what classes to enroll in, but it should ease up quite a bit in the next week or two. You'll still have plenty of time. And a question from Myra about how long it takes to hear back about petition requests. Myra, if you've submitted a petition and it's been a few weeks, you can contact the admissions office and find out more information about the petition request. So I would encourage you, if it's been a while, to contact admissions. You might need, if it's not urgent, you might give them just a couple of weeks so that they can continue to process as many students in the classes as possible. And let me see what additional questions there might be. A question about studying in the library. The library will be open for studying. They anticipate being open for studying starting next week. There's also the computer commons on the second floor that is also available for students. So if you need a good space to study, you have a couple of options on the first and the second floor. The second floor, I understand, is open this week, and the first floor library is anticipated to open up next week. Question from Matthew about classes that have TBA next to them, and when will the schedules come out? They very well could be asynchronous classes that don't meet at a set date and time. So for more information about the meeting times of classes, please do contact your instructor, and they'll be able to give you detailed information about when the class meets, or if it's going to meet asynchronously over the semester, where it won't be at a set date and time, but you'll be able to access the information at any time. A question about weekly COVID testing and how that'll work. The district is testing a new system for gathering the information, the weekly testing information. If students are fully vaccinated, they won't have to go through weekly testing. They might have to get tested once, but they won't have to go through weekly testing. As soon as the new system is tested and the district has all the procedures in place, we'll be getting out information to students. So in the next couple of weeks, I imagine, you'll be receiving an email with the information from the district on the exact procedures for testing or for uploading your vaccination information. With regard to the vaccination information, we do anticipate that students will be required to upload into the system the details of their vaccination so it can be validated. Again, all of that the details on how to do all that will be coming out over the next 2 weeks. A question from Benjamin about in-person counseling. Benjamin, yes, in-person counseling is available. We did have quite a bit of it available on the weekend, the past couple of weekends with the enrollment fairs, but you can make appointments for in-person counseling. And of course, counseling is available online, and you can also contact the counseling department by telephone. A question from Morella about when do you turn in the California grant paperwork? You should turn in the paperwork as soon as possible, within the next day or two, if at all possible. And if you have any questions, please contact the financial aid department, but details on how to submit the paperwork are available on our homepage, lavc.edu, under the information about the $1,000 stimulus, as well as from the financial aid website. There's a question about classes not being available in an online format and that they're in-person only in the mornings. There are some classes, especially some lab classes, that are only offered in person, but many classes are available in person or online. Again, it is correct. Some classes, especially lab classes and some CTE classes like manufacturing, are only in person. Let me look for some additional questions. A question about incentives. If a student's recorded vaccination date is after July 2021, it's a good question. There is an incentive for students to receive their vaccination on campus through the pop-up vaccination events that are happening weekly. For students that receive their vaccination on campus through the vaccination event, they will be eligible for a $150 gift card to the bookstore. That same $150 bookstore gift card is not available to students who get vaccinated from other locations or have already been vaccinated. So for instance, for myself, I was vaccinated back in March. I'm not eligible for the $150 bookstore gift card, but all students and employees who do get vaccinated on campus through the vaccination events are able to get a $150 gift card to the bookstore. They're also, and that's for each dose that they receive on campus at the vaccination events. They're also eligible for incentives from the LACCD Foundation, and I believe it's still $75 per dose. A question about holds on financial aid and the impact on the $1,000 payment. You will want to contact, for any hold on your account related to financial aid, you'll want to contact the financial aid department and get more information about the holds. A question for Savannah about if you are vaccinated, where do you send your vaccination record from the CDC? Savannah, there'll be more details coming out about how to upload your vaccination information. We do anticipate that students will be able to upload the vaccination information directly into a system that'll validate it. That way it can make sure that your information is kept safe and secure. Those details on how to upload the vaccination information will be coming out over the next couple of weeks. The system is being tested right now, though. So as soon as it's ready for student use, the district will be sending out information about how to upload your information. And there's a question about online options for student ID. For more information about that, I don't believe that there are online options for student IDs, but you can contact the Student Services Office and get more information about that. And let me see the next set of questions here. A question from Camilo, why is the incentive only for new vaccinations? And the incentive was really tied to the vaccination events on campus. And it's a $150 gift certificate to the bookstore that's available for folks who are vaccinated on campus through those events. And that's to help encourage folks to come out to the events and become vaccinated. A question from Taylor about coming onto campus to get your student ID. Taylor, I do believe that's yes, that you can come on the campus for your student ID, but let me ask staff to post more information in the chat about that as well. And there's a question from Akshay about when the library will be reopening. We anticipate that the library will be reopening next week. Their hours will be posted soon. And the second floor of the library, the computer commons and other spaces also will be available. I believe that those spaces will be available this week. A question about how will in-person classes work versus online classes. So in-person classes are starting today, online classes as well. And the in-person classes are of course at a set date and time. The students coming to campus to take in-person classes will need to complete the daily symptom check as well as wear a face mask while indoors. Online classes that are starting as early as today can meet either synchronously, so at a set date and time, or asynchronously, meaning that students can access the information at any time. For more information about how your class is meeting, you can contact your instructor, and of course, you can get more information from Canvas, your account from Canvas. A question about financial aid appeals. Yes, the financial aid department will continue to be working on financial aid appeals. Question from Myra about help with food. If you do need an emergency grant and it's related to COVID, there is a process for applying for those. So I'd encourage you, if you need assistance with food, to check out the emergency grant process. And those details are on can be accessed from our homepage, the lavc.edu homepage. Go to LAVC COVID information and look for emergency grants. You'll be able to get some additional details about how to get some support that can help you for a variety of needs, including needs for food. Susan, I see that Susan has a question about the $75 award. And if you have more questions about that, I'd encourage you to contact the LACCD Foundation, and they'll be able to provide you some more details. You might also check with the financial aid department. They may be able to answer your questions directly. And let me see if we still have some additional questions. A question about the tablet that you received it last week, but you have received an email to say saying keep on a lookout for a laptop. If you received a device, then that is the one that was intended to be sent to you. So if you received the tablet, that's the device that the email was referring to. And there's a question from Henry about not being able to see other classes. Henry, if you don't see the classes in Canvas, please contact the Welcome Center, and they can validate that you're in the classes. And another good resource for questions about Canvas is Virtual Valley. You can find out information about how to contact them from the homepage, but please contact either Virtual Valley so they can look up the details of your account, or the Welcome Center. And let me see if we have any additional questions. A question from Milo about when you'll receive the $1,000 grants. If you've already enrolled for classes, we hope to get the $1,000 grants out in the third week of the semester, so in about 2.5 weeks. That underscores how important it is for students to get in their FAFSA or the College Promise Fee Waiver application as soon as possible. It does take about a week and a half to process those awards. So students will need to get in to receive the money timely. Students will need to get in that paperwork as soon as possible. A question from Karen about knowing where to find the $1,000 federal application on the homepage. You don't need to do a separate application for the $1,000. All you need to do is apply for either the FAFSA or the California Promise Fee Waiver. And anyone who is eligible for an enrollment fee waiver will receive the $1,000 automatically. More details on that are available on the homepage, but you don't need to complete a separate application for the $1,000. You'll simply need to complete the application, the FAFSA application or the California Promise Fee Waiver application. And let me see if there's some additional questions. A question about a challenge in connecting with an online counselor. And we understand that there can be a lot of challenges with connecting with counselors, especially right now. There are some in-person counseling appointments that are available. Of course, those go quickly. So please do be patient and be persistent and keep checking back with the counseling department. A question from Philip about needing to be full-time to receive the stimulus. You do not need to be full-time. Of course, I'd encourage you to be full-time if you can to help complete your college degree even more quickly. But there is not a requirement to be full-time to receive this stimulus. A question from Karen about, can you apply for the California grant if you already have the FAFSA? No need to complete the California Promise Fee Waiver application if you've already completed the FAFSA. The financial aid folks will use the information that you submitted on the FAFSA to make your determination for the fee waiver. And of course, the information will also be used to determine your eligibility for the $1,000 federal award as well. And I think we're caught up on questions. If I missed anything, please do contact the Welcome Center. They'll be happy to answer any question that you might have or direct you to the office that can answer your question as directly as possible. Again, welcome to the start of the new year, the new school year. Welcome to the start of the fall semester. We hope that you find it rewarding. If there's any way that we can help support you, please never hesitate to let us know. Thank you, and I look forward to seeing you all again soon.